All right, so let's see here. Today is 9/13, Friday, 5:10ish. Well, yesterday I had a really good mood. It was nice and up. It was such a good mood, in fact, that I didn't sleep at all. I kind of napped, but I wasn't even nervous. I didn't get up to drink too much water or anything. I did that, before with the, what do you call it? When the rental car arrived. I think that was yesterday. But I had a good mood. Everything kind of went my way as much as it can. After the deer incident, I hit the deer and then came back to towing. And then yesterday, finally, I got a rental car on Thursday. The towing company, they picked it up. So I was waiting on that, and I genuinely was in such an upbeat mood I couldn't sleep. And it was not a bad sort of mood. Now I wish I had slept because I didn't sleep the night before. Yeah, at the campsite. Anyways, I kind of just kind of farted around on the computer, a little bit of just procrastinating, what's on the news, that sort of thing. I did a good out loud sort of discussion about things. I didn't record that. It's now lost to history. All right, kind of rambly. But I felt good. I felt good about it. And then, kind of the mood started plummeting. I was watching, I think it was even Molyneux or something. It was some witchcraft woman. Some woman called in about her mother-in-law, and she's practicing witchcraft, and she's gone kind of crazy. I think there was a phrase in there like, well, she's just going to die alone, or she's going to be... It's like, ugh, yep. It's like, yeah, the isolation just hit back, which is, yep, I'm still alone. And again, during that out loud discussion that I didn't record, part of it is like, I know then I'm still alone, but it's like, okay, fine. We can do the videos from July to now. I still haven't uploaded, and I don't have that many. I have a dozen now, or so, I don't know. But I can process these. Yes, I can look at them. I can do the timestamp. Okay, I can do that one by one. We can put them up every day. We'll have content for a week or so. We can, churn it. I think that was my discussion, is a lot of these are rambly, but there's a lot of good stuff in here, I think. And yes, the analogy I used, I'm getting a better mood now. The analogy I used was, it's a statute. It's a statute that, and I probably used this a day ago or something, but you see just a big block there, and it's like, well, how can you make, something beautiful out of it? My favorite David is not, by the way, the one everyone knows. It's Bernini's David, all right? I think that's really the best one. It's probably my favorite statute. But anyways, that was a block of rock. Just a boulder or some slab that's boring and stupid. And it's so beautiful, right? It's so, wow. Especially the Bernini stuff. By that time, the masters were so advanced. I mean, just look at that. It's so, he's more modestly, I think there's like a towel or drape around him, but you can see his body underneath the towel and the drape. But anyway, it doesn't matter. This is not an art history class here. But part of it was like, no, we can do this. We can talk. We can talk here. And yeah, this is a long-term project here. And sometimes when the anxiety hits, when the depression and the suicidality and the what's the point hopelessness hits, it's like a deer in headlights. Like a deer that would hit my car, for example. And those are all situational things. Those are just things that happen today that it's like, oh my God, how am I going to solve this? And then it's the anticipation of further horrible things happening, and then it's like, where the fuck do I turn? It just fills me with dread, and that's kind of what happened. I was waiting for a call this afternoon, but the body shop called me at noon. They towed the car yesterday, and they told me. Well, first of all, I forgot. I didn't. I missed the call. I called back. The guy was in a meeting, so. Fantastic. He calls me back and he says, okay, well, I know you don't want everything perfect, but the starting price for making the car completely new is $4,800. Now, you can probably buy this, that probably exceeds the cost of the car, but even that's not important. But I said, well, what can we drop off here? And he said, well, you know, the doors, we can knock them, we can kind of hammer them or whatever they do. The passenger side is, I think I'll put that video up. The passenger side front door, it thumps a little bit but it fully opens. I don't care. It's gonna have a dent on it. Who cares? The driver's side doesn't fully open. It's a little crumpled there, as you saw. It's like, okay, I don't want a new one, just hammer it out or whatever. And then he said, all right, yeah, without that, it's $3,200. It's like, well, thankfully money's not an issue, or at least $3,200 isn't. And it's like, well, it's probably the best option. You know, I can buy a new car. Those costs start, you know, 20 grand. It's like, I don't want to buy a new car. They're pretty expensive. I could. And thankfully, at least that much money isn't an issue. So that's at least good. You know, it's not a disaster with money here. So that's good. You know, but maybe a used car, 5 years old, that's probably half the price, and they're just as good, right? You can, in fact, based on performance of how those cars perform, you can probably get a better one because it performed well, because you know 5 years after which, right, you get it. And I could just go with the devil I know and buy a 2009 Elantra that I have, right? Now those cost about $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, depending on where you buy it. Maybe you can haggle it. But it's like, then you have to go there, then you have to... So this is probably the best option, probably the cheapest option. It's kind of maddening that I'm basically paying full price for the car to repair it, but that's the other option. I mean, there's nothing else, you know? So I went there, I signed the form, and it's like, yep. But there was, you know, the anxiety of getting the phone call back. What if they can't fix it? What if this? What if that? You know, it's just... And you know, I was actually thinking 3,000. I was like, well, you know, 3,000. You know, that was the number on my mind, 3,280 or whatever it is with tax, everything, blah, labor, everything. 3,200. So it's interesting because it's like, well, it's kind of what I thought. You know, this is going to be a 3,200 thing. Yeah, that's what it is. That shouldn't be an issue, but it's still, you know, it still is anxiety provoking, because then it's like, well, now it's like, okay, this problem happened. You know, what's the next problem? It's that anticipatory anxiety I talked about. So that kind of kicked it in. You know, then now this is another good thing, is the Enterprise rental is literally 2 doors down from the body shop. I didn't know this, you know. So when I was like going to the body shop, I'm like, oh, this is right next to the. So if I drop off the rental and when I can do that's going to be easier for me, right? I mean, they could probably pick, or I drive there, they drive me back, that sort of thing. They do that, but it's like, okay, one less thing to worry about. But I also dropped by the Enterprise place because I thought, you know, I thought I could get a smaller car, because this feels like driving a tank. And the anxiety with that was driving on the street here, you know, in the kind of narrow neighborhood streets, people park on the side, but these are not generous big streets here. So it feels like, oh my God, I don't have a good feel for it, you know. And, you know, it's fine. I can do it, you know. It's not the end of the world. Other people have big trucks here. It's really not an issue, but it's just one more fucking thing like that. And that, you know, so I got back, I went to go to the supermarket. I was still in relatively a decent mood, but, you know, the nosedive was just really in full check there, you know, and you know, I was just in this, it really just hit, you know, this anticipatory anxiety that I have, where everything is like, something's gonna go wrong, and then I can't fix it, and then I'm stranded, and it's over, you know, like I'm just it's this overwhelming sense of dread of what shitty thing is gonna happen next. And again, I can't rely on anyone, you know. And I don't know exactly what I did to talk myself out of it in the supermarket, because I was like, oh, what, I'm gonna start whining on the internet as usual. And you know, I don't want to beat myself up about it. I think even I talked myself out of that bad mood in the supermarket, talking like that, you know, at least, you know, inside I wasn't talking out loud in the supermarket, not yet. You know, but again, I got home and it sort of hit again, you know. It's just, it wasn't enough, and I kind of want to recapture what I thought in the supermarket. And there's some practical things like, you know, I have a shitty old phone. It's just, it's like, well, if I have a little better phone, you know, it's easier to call an Uber. It's easier to just do that than to be, battery on this kind of sucks as well. But again, I mean, a lot of the new phones, and there's a million of them, so there's the anxiety of that. What if that gets lost? And there's passwords on it, because at least this one, you know, you lose it, who cares? It's, you know. But it's just that anxiety that, yeah, I'm not part of any tribe, I'm not part of any group. I have no one to call on, you know, literally and metaphorically and whatever. And it's like, I think in the supermarket, it's like, yeah, so I have no one, and I'm going to whine about this on the internet. And again, even in the bad moods, I still have a little bit of, yeah, okay, I'm not going to, I don't want to undersell myself, right? I think I have some good traits, I have some good things, but it's like no one, even if we put it in a more subjective thing, it's like, well, who's interested in this stuff? Even in a good mood, who's interested in these things? You know, is there, because again, the Molyneux stuff that kind of pushed me a little bit, that kind of hit me with the pagan witch woman, the mother-in-law, who's kind of becoming isolated with her craziness. Well, that's my life, you know, in many ways. And it's like, this is kind of the only way forward, is in some ways talking out loud. I'm still sort of in that anxious mood, but I have to talk about this. And I don't know if I want to do this every day either, because that's going to create a massive backlog. But then again, I should do it every day. You know, I do the fucking daily log every day. And I still want to have a more private sort of daily thing. You know, I reserve the right not to say everything here, but you know, in these bad moods, it's just, yeah, it's everything's going to go to shit. I'm going to be stranded, and that's it. It's just like, you know, and it's that anxiety where it just creates that paralysis. It's not the anxiety where it's like, okay, things feel bad, let's fucking solve it. It's this kind of shaking, I'm paralyzed, I can't fucking do anything, and nothing's ever going to work, and this is going to go bad, and it's just, there's almost a sensation of falling, you know, when you're falling and you know you're going to, it's like that, and it's just so awful. You know, and it's like, okay, let's do some symptom management. Okay, maybe a better phone can alleviate some of these fears, but something can always go wrong regardless of how well you plan, you know? You know, and it's like, I'm a damsel in, I did remember saying this in a supermarket or thinking it. It's like, I'm a damsel in distress, someone rescue me. And it's like, yeah, that's kind of true. You know, that's not false. And yet I have all these high standards, you know, but that's not false either. I do want somebody who can talk about these issues. And yet it's like, well, I don't talk about these issues. I'm expecting really more of others than I have. And, you know, it's like, in a good mood, I can envision at least reading this a little bit. And I kind of want to make this a sort of everyday thing. So yes, I do sort of want to make this an everyday thing where, you know, maybe that's the next thing. Is, although this doesn't feel good, especially when I'm in a more anxious mood, it does not feel good to put myself out here and say, look at me, I'm a big loser. I want people in my life, kind of begging for it. And yet, no, it's got to be standards. You got to be well read on this stuff. But that's kind of what it is, you know. It's, yes, I do want that, and maybe part of this is just, you know, that's the way out, which is, yep, this is what I want. I can't be embarrassed about it. I can't just imagine the hostility or the indifference. Out of the billions of people in the world, there must be people who are relatively functional, because this is functional, you know, having this roller coaster mood every day. You know, yeah, that's really functional. But it's like, yeah, that's what it is. You know, and it's been easy to be complacent. and it's not like I just totally numb this away. Even before this car incident, you saw it with the fan. If this goes up, the fan goes up, right? It's like there's always some fucking bullshit. And it's not about those bullshit things. It's the bigger thing of I don't have anybody around. It's just, and I can envision, a future that is worth living for. I can envision it right now, still a bit anxious, still a bit, in theory, intellectually I can see it, that this mood is here. Even if I'm in a bad mood, I can have that bird's eye view of, it will change. It's changed before, and I'll find some, And even this little pep talk isn't bringing me completely out of it. And that's fine too, And it's like that. Let's start putting these kind of videos up. I did do a couple of these in July, a couple of these later. Not every day from July, but, well, I guess, if you're seeing this, I'll put those in sequence so you'll know how many there are, maybe a dozen or so. And, it's just, and again, things kind of went my way today, so it's like even, there was the anxiety about the Bodyshop, and it's like, no, kids, all things considered, it could have been much worse. I could have been, and it's like, I get injured, I have a broken arm, I'm in a hospital. Well, fuck me, I've just isolated myself into oblivion here. So what do I do? I can put these out there, and then what? This. And I know it's like, yes, I in my better moods I can envision, but that's the thing is, do I have the contentedness to just sit down and have? Because today I had that contentedness. I had that as again the unrecorded discussion. But that's the point. Again, I put the camera on, and a lot of the times it does feel like, ugh, I'm a deer in headlights that again hits my car, right? And there's a million of these things that can happen, speaking of deers. And it's like, I can't, I can do little things, little practical things to sort of prevent them. But I can't, it's not having a community where I just have the peace of, okay, if something goes wrong, fine, somebody's going to help. And even with this, the kindness of strangers, okay, somebody's going to help, right? But it's just this, I just can't call on anyone, And I don't think it's purely selfish. I'd love to do that for somebody else. I'd love to have somebody who has lived these things. And, we're kind of on the same page. But then again, we're on the same page, and that's the passivity. It was a lot easier watching Molyneux stuff, reading books like this. Ooh, maybe I'll find someone I'll just sneak up on. Well, it's easier to join something that already exists than to make it. And I'm not exactly, Mr. Social here, as you can imagine. It's like, let me make a group about toxic parents and how they're terrible, and, everyone else is a dumb zombie who just, that's really going to be popular, And yet, again, in the better moods, it's like, no, it can be a little, I don't have to lie about it if I'm in a better mood. Again, it's the Chinaman versus zombie distinction. It's like, not everybody has to be on board with this. Maybe they're wrong, maybe I'm more sensitive. It doesn't matter, but this is what I need, and there might be some people around. So even now, I can intellectually get that, even if I don't feel it right now, Or maybe if I'm in a terrible mood, just fucking sit down and read this. It's like I don't have a job, haven't had one in years. Thankfully, I can live on the kind of savings I had, I'm not, thankfully money is not, I'm not Facebook rich, right? Nothing close, but I don't have to worry about that at least. That's good. But it's like, and that goes back to the whole job issue, which is I hate being this listless loser, basically, this gainfully unemployed person. But then again, it's like I don't want to do busy work. I don't want to do stuff that just doesn't have much meaning for me. And where's the meaning? Well, we can talk about this, we can improve on this. And in the contented moods, it's like, oh, I'll do this, I'll do that, I can do the videos, and I can envision, I can fantasize about the success of it, and oh, I'll do this. But do I sit down and do it? I was kind of feeling like that today, but I didn't do it. And then now that I'm in a terrible mood, it's like my head is just, and it's like, you just shut up and do it, in the same way that we did the Bodyshop stuff despite the anxiety. We called a tow truck. It's just this aversion to this pain. And it's still there. I mean, it's not like I don't put these up and I'm not in pain. I'm in pain precisely because nothing happens. And I'm like, oh, boo-hoo, my life's going nowhere. It's like, well, because I'm not doing anything. The one thing I could do, I mean, there's a couple of things, but this is the big thing. Let's put this stuff up. Let's start to one foot in front of the other. And again, I've done these videos, they're saved, they're uploaded, they're in the cloud, so, I can work with this, but I don't do it. And part of it is the embarrassment. I mean, the fan videos, again, you'll see it if it's up here already, but these are fucking embarrassing. It's painful. It's painful to talk about this and whine on the internet. But that's what it is. I mean, tell me an address, right? And part of it is I want to have this, I do want to have this thing where I'm above it all in the sense that it doesn't bother me. And it doesn't bother me that much. Well, yes, it does. I have to be honest, Again, the passive stuff is it would have been easier to find people, a group, an address where it's like I can just say, hey guys, so, I read these books. I don't meet with my parents anymore. Here's why. We're on the same page. I do the Guerrero thing. Doesn't mean I have to fuck you, right? But, if anybody's interested. And again, it's kind of making jokes about it. I'm not a promiscuous guy to begin with. But where is that where, okay, great. That's a good sort of, let's do something intellectual. Let's do something, and let's throw a ball around. I mean, it's not like let's sit around and mull about even these things that I don't think are bullshit. It's not that kind of esoteric, abstract philosophy of, I don't know, do dolphins have feelings or something? Like, I don't care. It's that totally dissociated kind of stuff that I don't go for. It's just, it's not very personal. It's not very relevant, And yeah, it's just this defeat of, there's always some bullshit. And today the big bullshit is the tank that I got as a rental. It's like, can it drive down the street? I'm going to go for a walk. And I wanted to do this before the walk because usually I either under my breath or in my head discuss things and I feel better generally. Or I get distracted enough by thinking about it. So I like to also read stuff. I like to listen to stuff. And, I could do a summary of those, but it's like, oh, well, who cares? No one's going to give a shit and whatever. And let me just hide myself and passively wait for, But, yeah, that's not going to happen. And again, this is a great step forward in saying, yep, I'm 34 now, and that hasn't happened, I have tried, and it's not, I've done a little more. I don't want to go into too many details here because it's not relevant. I've done more than just sit around. And how much time? 24 minutes? It's and part of it is precisely, oh, go meet up with people. Yeah. It's like, you can't discuss this stuff anywhere, And, well, that's why the internet's perfect. You can upload it, and if people want to shit all over it, if people are not interested, that's fine. And again, yeah, it's part, I used to be kind of a marketing guy. I mean, not, I wouldn't put that on my business card because I never had one. But, I'm sure there's people searching for this book. I'm sure there's people searching for other books. So, hey, I like this book. I talked about this book. Hey, So intellectually I get this, but to actually say, let's fucking do this. Let's actually do it. It's like, I just want to sit here like a little bitch and moan. And again, even this is better. Okay, I don't want to beat myself up about it, because even this is better, that I'm finally talking out loud, recording it, and potentially putting this up. So even this is better than what I've been doing. And I don't think that lifts me out of my miserable mood. I'm still sort of, you know. But at least it's like, yeah, there will be little problems, and, you know, hopefully I can fix it. And hopefully I can, you know, hopefully if I don't go 200 miles away from home, I can, you know, it's easier to, whatever. You know, I can no longer be complacent, you know, and this pain is good. I hope it's good, because it's been like this before, but it's just so different now. It's just, you know, one more deer, it's a little bigger, and I'm in a hospital. Well, fuck me, you know. I mean, if I'm dead, well, you know, who cares, right? But if it's worse than that, or maybe there's someone there, I don't know, right? But it's just, you know, it's oh, I can't talk about this stuff, it's inappropriate. And we're coming up on 27 minutes, so this will probably shut off soon. But, and I like the timing thing here. Maybe I could ramble for an hour, but I do want to keep 30 minutes is, I think, good. It's a TV show. It's a non-commercialized TV show, a full 27 minutes. I don't know, you can have some intros, ads for other shows, you know, that sort of thing. So it's a nice, I did take notes, you know, and I want to make this sort of an everyday thing. I want to make this into a sort of job, to where at least